Now, a lot of people have been questioning why I hold Darkseid currently in such high regard. And in order to answer that, I've decided to go ahead and make a video scaling the current Darkseid. We're going to review the origins, where he comes from, and ultimately why I believe he is stupidly powerful, broke the scaling in DC. Literally. If you love content like this, make sure to show that by liking the video. It really helps my channel grow, and subscribing if you haven't already. Join the Yancey Street Gang. Also, check out my Discord, link in the video description. We do games, prizes, D&Ds, giveaways, and more. Without further ado, let's begin. So, how did Darkseid become so powerful and create the absolute universe? First of all, shout out my guy GB for helping me gather all this information. Now let's start with Infinite Frontier issue 0. Darkseid was actually able to kill the Quintessence with little effort shortly after the rebirth of the DC multiverse. If you don't recall how powerful these beings are, it literally includes Phantom Stranger and Spectre. He ran through them all, absolutely bodying them. This is important because I saw someone say he doesn't scale to Spectre or barely scales to Spectre. That's a crazy assertion. We saw how that story goes in Infinite Frontier 0. Now, Infinite Frontier issue 6. The rebirth of the DC multiverse made it so every form of Darkseid to ever exist has become one, making him stronger than ever. It's literally a composite Darkseid, which is terrifying. By the way, I'm providing every issue that I'm pulling from for sources, so you guys can go check them out yourself. Or you can hit me up if you want access to my scaling servers. Regardless, it gives the audience a chance to educate themselves on the scaling, not just rely upon us power scalers. Now, moving on to Justice League Incarnate issues 4 and 5. Empty Hand was the right hand of the Great Darkness, used to form peace with the light, which you would call the Source, Overvoid, and Presence, while Darkseid is revealed to be the left hand, a fist designed to conquer and destroy. One single hand can carry immense influence, even over the most powerful of entities. I mean, Darkseid's literally the destructive hand. It's almost like Toba in Marvel having a destructive hand, having someone that goes out and asserts their will and power. That's kind of how Darkseid functions for the Great Darkness. Now, Batman, Superman, World's Finest, issue 24. Darkseid attempted to acquire the anti-life equation and walked through the forces of Earth before Gog's body was destroyed and the equation was lost with it. Spectre said his presence in the face of Darkseid would have stopped absolutely nothing. So not only did he solo him before the cosmology shifted, but he did so again, and it was admitted by Spectre and World's Finest that, like, at this point, Darkseid, there's nothing he could do to actually fucking stop him if he needed to, and he just can't. DC All-In Special Issue 1. Darkseid has overwhelmed Spectre's purpose and mind. Fiction and the comics begin to rip and burn upon his literal arrival. DC All-In Special number 1. Darkseid merging with Spectre created an anomaly where he was there but also wasn't. Reality itself, the story itself, was shifting around him. Terrific had never seen anything like this. Lantern said Darkseid had become death itself, and his presence alone has altered the future. Keep in mind, Terrific has experienced and studied everything in current DC. He studied the death metal landscape, all these concepts. Nothing like Darkseid has he seen before. It's disturbing and disgusting how powerful he is at this point. And if you can't tell, yeah, he's high out of the boundless based on how DC scales and the fact that he's scaling to the top of it as we continue. DC All-In Special Issue 1. Darkseid cannot be bound by Wonder Woman's lasso and is in the process of creating a gateway that would make him impossible to stop. At this point, the other characters are like, fuck, if we don't lock in, Darkseid's going to be too broken, which, unfortunately for them, he is. DC All-In Special Issue 1. Darkseid thanks the League before he disappears, but now there is no trace of him in the multiverse beyond Planet Alpha. Orion said creation needs Darkseid, and if he was to fall, another version of him would spawn. DC All-In Special Issue 1. Darkseid has Alpha Planet completely under his control and even has his own legion that he can send out and do his bidding, with this legion scaling to top 10 characters in DC, which I will show later. DC All-In Special Issue 1. Darkseid has used his resources to create a machine to make him more. A machine made from parts of the past, present, as much as the future. This machine has pieces from the World Forge and science from the Guardians. His blood itself activates this extra-dimensional technology, allowing him to usurp all of his forms combined from prior comics. DC All-In Special Issue 1. Darkseid says that when the multiverse was severed, he felt a surge of power that awakened something within him. Now he must become more. He sacrifices his own son, Calibac, his blood, to complete the machine's bonding process. He's literally going to sacrifice whatever it takes to become the big dog. Spectre always hinted that you can't even tell him Presence isn't around or doing his thing because Darkseid naturally, innately believes he can fill that role. DC All-In Special Issue 1. Darkseid senses the signature of Spectre waging war across all of creation, from hell to heaven and back to the main universe, unleashing the full power of his Mother Box technology on Eclipso, and finally he was able to find Spectre. At this point, he's doing what he wants across creation. Eclipso had an amazing showing, but still lost to this prep Darkseid, who's only getting stronger. Continuing with DC All-In Issue 1. Darkseid's miracle machine, which overpowered the will of Presence and forces a bond with Spectre, who is literally Presence's wrath. He witnesses his story and purpose from a new perspective, and as he battles in places he is and places he is not, he finally decides to let go of the grand design. The design of all things revolving around Superman and him opposing all things by nature. At this point, Darkseid completely frees himself of it and goes beyond this narrative. DC All-In Special Issue 1. By letting go of the design, he is now beyond it all, creating a universe of his own where the rules are different and all work under his influence, promising to one day return when Darkseid truly is. Now, for a good comparison of leaving this narrative, what that all means, going on to do what he is doing, we got to review some prior comics. The following scans are collected from Final Crisis Superman Beyond, Justice League Incarnate, Death Metal, Flashpoint Beyond, and Doomsday Clock. The birth of the DC multiverse left a flaw in the Overvoid/Source/Light. This flaw contained infinite stories, realities, and timelines, each only expanding to contain Superman's narrative, which Darkseid escaped when creating the Absolute Universe. Darkseid is beyond everything DC currently is. The following scans are collected from Challenges of the Unknown and Mr. Terrific Year 1. After Darkseid escaped the main DC cosmology, his absences caused anomalies to spawn throughout creation and shook creation and everything within it to its core. Many felt they were on borrowed time after this, mainly because to people like Batman, Darkseid represented death itself. New Gods Issue 1. This story here provides us with more solid evidence that Darkseid did in fact escape all of DC entirely, as the source itself, which is referenced along the Great Darkness, believes Darkseid is gone. New Gods Issue 8. Darkseid's absence has formed another anomaly, one that eats light and wraps space like no other black hole seen before. Absolute Martian Manhunter Issue 5. The Martian references a spiritual cosmic great darkness that predates all creation. As he floats through it, he finds Darkseid, seemingly playing with what could be the Absolute Universe. This implied Darkseid indeed escaped to the great darkness itself. By the way, if you want to see me cover all of the Absolute storylines in their own mini movies, let me know, I can do that. Absolute Martian Manhunter Issue 5. To a being in the Absolute Universe, Darkseid is the beginning and the end. Darkseid is everything. Superman Issue 29. Darkseid's Legion has laid waste to the 31st century. It's implied his Legion has laid waste to further timelines in the future as well. This is in regards to the main DC timeline, not the Absolute Universe. This is the Legion I mentioned before. Justice League Unlimited Issue 10. Darkseid has broken all of time, potentially hyper time, as Time Trapper is also broken and weakened due to this fact. Darkseid's Legion hunts Time Trapper through time and lands a near fatal blow on the weakened Time Trapper. This again is in regards to the main DC timeline, not the absolute universe. So in truth, we see this KO event coming up. We see all these powerful beings, even Superboy Prime, being subjected to Darkseid's gang. The King Omega Darkseid is absolutely broken, the strongest we've ever seen him. And in my opinion, one of the strongest characters in comic book history and even fiction itself. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What do you think of this version of Darkseid? Let me know if you agree with me, and let me know what other characters you want to see fully scaled. But anyways, as always, it's been your host, Dr. Splash. And remember, it's Yancey Street, bitches.